John Butler is our mystic in residence, and I've got to say, it really is a privilege to have you as part of the team here at the Broughton Sanctuary. Just to start with, John, can you tell us a little bit about the journey which has, I guess, led you to becoming part of the Broughton family?
Well, first of all, Steve, it's very nice to be called a member of the family. I like that. How did it happen? Well, for many years I've worked with meditation, and various people have been to see me about this. And one day a man called Ed arrived, and we soon found out that not only did we go to the same school, but we served in the same regiment in the army. So we became friends. And as he was leaving, Ed told me a bit about Broughton and invited me to come to a conference here, which a few months later I did. And got on very well with it and did my little speech. And then I was invited back the following year. There was a sort of sequence of this particular retreat. And the next year, and I think I've been coming 4 years, 4 or 5, 4 maybe. Then, and then each time becoming firmer friends and getting to know the people here. And really loving the place, because it's a very attractive place to me, a lovely big estate in North Yorkshire. But back home, I got on with my work, and I've actually written 10 books. And I just finished writing my last book. And I looked at my computer where I was sort of finished it off and thought, thank God I'm finished with words. And I'm not sure it wasn't the very same day. I think it was. The phone rang. And bless my soul, it was Ed asking if he and a man called Roger, who describes himself very humbly as the custodian of Broughton. He's really the chief. He's the man who has inherited the estate. They asked if he could bring him to see me. So the two men arrived, and we meditated together. And to my amazement, invited me to have a residency at Broughton. Residency? Good heavens. What does that mean? I looked it up in the dictionary. I'm not quite sure what it means now, but anyway, it didn't immediately mean an immediate transition, but it means spending longer periods here. Well, I've got no family at Bakewell. I live alone. I don't have much connection with anybody, really. Millions on internet, but nobody in my daily life. But so I came here, and I was very happy here. People are so kind and received me well. I've got friends in all directions, really, among the staff and the people that come here. All interesting people. And what's so amazing to me is that they're interested in what I love, which is the work not only on getting closer to nature, but with meditation and the whole business of where meditation leads. So this is my 3rd long residential stay here. It's just coming to an end. I'm rather sorry to go, but I hope there'll be more. So that's how it's happened. And also an amazing thing is that Bakewell Church, which is where I've been going up the hill twice a day to meditate for 28 years, I've had my own key so I could go early to the church and open it. And this is where I've seen many people and who've come to see me about meditation. I'm now considered a health and safety risk. and my key has been withdrawn. But how amazing, don't things happen? But this door has opened at Broughton. What door closes and another opens? Amazing at my age, with one foot in the grave.
So it's really kind of a fate that's brought you to Broughton in a way.
God knows, dear. God knows, and I do not.
So meditation is a kind of key part of your daily activity. Can you just tell us, what first led you to an interest in meditation?
Yes, Steve. Well, at 25, I'd already knocked around quite a bit. I'd been round the world, I'd served in the army, I'd started farming. But I was full of idealism, and I wanted to make the world a better place, and life a worthier thing. I'd injured my back, so farming had to have a pause. And my father had a business. I went into the business for a few years and tried my hand at that, but I couldn't bear it really. So I quarrelled with Dad and went off to South America and started trying to reforest the Andes. This was my mission in life, to make the deserts green. And after I'd been doing that for a while, not very successfully, I might add, I was sitting alone on a mountainside on the high Andes. We'd been planting trees, and we didn't have any money to fence them in safely, and the local sheep and goats had come and eaten them all. So I was a bit upset by this. Anyway, I was sitting there alone, musing about it. And I seemed to hear from somewhere, something said to me, to make whole, be whole. Well, I didn't really understand what that meant. But I saw that I was a young man, perhaps rather aggressive with my ideas of how to improve things, thinking I knew, trying to teach people older and wiser than myself, the local Indians in other words, what to do. And recently somebody sent me a book that had mentioned meditation. And when a few months later I returned to England, I looked for and found a school. It was in London. It was the only school in the country, in England, that I knew where I could go and learn meditation. Very different from today, when people are teaching it on every corner, aren't they? Meditation was almost unknown in the West then. Anyway, I learned to meditate and fell in love with it from the beginning. I remember one of the things that took me to South America was my love of the wide open spaces. I'd love to be up alone on the mountains, and young and strong. I could walk forever up there. And I did my first meditation practice in St Pancras Station waiting room late at night, because I had to get the late night train back to feed my animals next morning. And, it all sort of opened up like that. Wow. Wide open spaces. I don't have to go to South America, Australia. They're within me.
So really, it kind of came to you in a sort of natural sort of way, didn't it?
Yeah, I just did what I'd been told. I'll tell you more about it if you're interested, how it works, how meditation works. But yes, that adventure, that inward adventure, what I call the adventure without end, is as strong now, 62 years later, as it ever has been. Truly, it's the adventure that never ends. So it has been a big part of my life.
And for people who are kind of new to the subject,
Yes.
what is your, on a practical level, what is your meditation routine, and how often?
Well, I was very well taught at this school, thank God. And I started with a quarter of an hour every morning and evening. I remember I was taught in the early spring, and I had a flock of sheep then. And this was one of my dreams then, to be a good shepherd, you see. And I had a flock of sheep, and they were lambing, of course, in early spring. And it really was awful for me to sit down when I wanted to be with my sheep, every minute of the day, to sit down and meditate for a quarter of an hour. But I did. I really did persevere at it. And I had to go down to London sometimes to be what they call checked, to see the practice was going right. So I did. I persevered. And then gradually, after a while, I did 20 minutes. And then after about a year, the practice was extended to half an hour. And I did half an hour, night and morning, ever since. What is it? Well, most people in this day and age have a mind full of activity, don't they? They're thinking. And what is meditation? Well, you can sit and just think, which is what a lot of people do. But there's more to it. Because if you can find a way of going beyond thinking, or in some way dealing with thinking, you open up a sort of infinite beyond. People think thinking's pretty big, but I can assure you that beyond thinking it gets even bigger. And if you're a person like me with an appetite for the infinite, there's a call of the beyond. Don't fence me in, a longing for more and more and more. Well, there's something called a mantra. If you introduce into the mind an alternative to thinking, something preferable, something you're more interested in. For example, if you're sitting there thinking and it's lunchtime, you go and have some lunch, you get interested in your food, you stop, you forget about your thinking, don't you? Mm-hmm. Or if your favourite dog comes up and wants a pet, you'll attend to your dog and you'll forget about your thoughts. Or if you just look out of the window and a lovely view, there's something interests you out there, what happens to your thoughts? You just leave them behind, forget about them. They fade out of the picture, cease to worry you. So that is meditation. Meditation is a very practical way of giving you an alternative to what's called the discursive mind. And if you practice that long enough, then the mind ceases to trouble you, and you can very easily. That's why it's called transcendental meditation. You go beyond the discursive mind.
But this kind of comes with practice.
Hmm?
This comes with practice.
It comes with practice, yes. I've been practicing 62 years, so of course I speak about it as it's dead simple to me now. But at the time, of course, it can be quite complicated. So it's a good idea to have a guide to just keep you straight.
So in a way, you're searching for a kind of stillness, aren't you? A peace.
Well, it depends what you see. See, if you ask people what they really, really want, people will give you a variety of answers. But a lot of people say peace. Some people say love or God. It's usually something pretty big, isn't it? It's not just more money or a holiday. Well, it doesn't really matter what it is. But if you've got a motivation and you think meditation might help you attain it. I remember what I answered. I said, God. I didn't know what God is. I still don't know what God is, but the word conveys something, doesn't it? Something, the beyond, the great beyond. So that served me very well. So I had a good motivation to practice. And like with that description I told you in the waiting room at St Pancras, it doesn't always do that. It varies. It's never the same twice. But you get encouragement as you practice. It opens gradually, gradually, gradually. It's been opening up for 62 years, Steve. The adventure never ends.
And do people get a different experience?
Yes, absolutely.
Everybody has their own experience.
Look, think of the sky. Every morning, the sky is pretty sort of bland today, a bit overcast. But even overcast, the sky is never the same, is it? Since the beginning of creation, there's never been two skies the same. Never been two mornings or sunsets or skies the same, have there? Never. Or the weather. And everybody looks at the sky differently, don't they? Some people love it, some are frightened by it, some see something, you know. We interpret life in an infinite number of ways, everybody different. So there's nothing standard about it. You know, there's an old saying, we get what we want. Well, I don't know, quite, maybe not. But certainly in meditation, that's why it's very hard to say this happens or that or that. It is a process of, this is the world that's familiar to us, when it's all sort of known. And this is, meditation's rather like this. It's opening up. Or another way, it's like this. Look, I've got my life all buttoned up. I know where I am, I know what I'm doing, I know where I'm going. Meditation's like that. It's like opening up.
It's like some kind of release and...
Well, see, this is religion. I am a Christian. I know all about God and Jesus. I've read the Bible 10 times. You know, all right. And you're moving from the world of knowing to the world of not knowing, which has its own certainty. It's like when you look at the sky or you look at the sea, there's a bigness comes into you, isn't it? Everybody's been looking at the sea. Everybody knows what it is to go to the sea. And what happens? Something happens, doesn't it? You get taken into something that's bigger than your normal little world, like this.
Do you find that some people are a little apprehensive about going into the world of the unknown?
Some people are quite scared to start with. Yes, some people are. Some people have a more adventurous spirit, just like me. They take to it like a duck to water, but other people are a bit more nervous and cautious, yes.
On a practical level, does meditation help with emotions like fear, sadness, and anger? Can it be a therapy for those kind of things?
Well, what do you mean help with? What's wrong with emotions?
Good question. Some people are, you know, on the day-to-day basis maybe caught up with some kind of trauma. Can meditation help with that on a...
Well, I've been through quite a few traumas in my life. Well, what helps, Steve, in life? What helps? Think what a help a little dog is to a lot of people. How many lonely old people just live for that little bundle of warmth and a warm tongue. Some people turn to drink. I've always just loved to be outside. I was lucky. I've been a farmer most of my life. Always outside in the open fields. Loved it. Always made me feel better. I tell you, I love sheep. I do. I love sheep. I find them very comforting creatures. Humble, unpretentious animals. sheep and cows, love all animals. I love to look up at the hills where I live at Bakewell. I look out on a lovely hill, and here at Broughton, the beautiful hills all round. I love those hills. I think of the psalm from the Bible, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills from whence cometh my help. It does, it helps me. Well, meditation is just finding those qualities within oneself. Like I found those wide open spaces in St Pancras Station waiting room. I go outside, I look at the lovely hills here, I feel better. I go into the chapel, I close my eyes, and I find the same thing within me. That same spaciousness, the infinite spaciousness, which is not empty. This is the great discovery. It's the fullness. If you think of a balloon's just a little shriveled up bit of rubber, isn't it? Nothing. If you blow into it, it gets bigger, doesn't it? Now meditation is like the air that feeds the balloon, you see. It's like it's the fullness that fulfills the emptiness of life, the missing bits of life. It's the spirit that enlivens. What happens when we die? Anybody that's watched someone die, you know what happens? The breath stops, the body dies. The spirit, as we say, goes out of the body. Now that's, in meditation, that's what happens. You realize it comes into reality. Body, mind and spirit. What we call spirit. Just silent. Just in this situation between us. Silent. Space. Space that holds us. Space of this room. The space outside. Presence. Freedom. Freedom from this into that. Spirit. What is the difference? Or are they all just words for the same thing? Getting bigger and bigger as you go towards the infinite, as you go from the finite to the infinite. From what is transitory, what is bound by space and time, to what is beyond time, beyond space, beyond limit. You see, it's really so simple. These great things in experience can be realized.
It's fascinating. Can we talk about some philosophers talk about the ego?
Yes.
And I understand that it's an important part of our makeup, but it needs to be kept under control. How do you keep it in check?
Difficult one. I'm not sure you can. You can try. Well, I suppose there's one simple answer. Being unselfish. Remember my mother saying to me as a little boy, don't be selfish. You look a bit puzzled by that answer. Yeah. Well, how can we go from that sense of harmonious integration with life to this separate me at enmity with other people, with oneself, struggling? So often life's like that, isn't it? What happens? Well, there's a very useful little phrase, separate existence. What separates us from this into this? If meditation is the process of opening up, What closes us down? And then me called John, you called Steve. Time, space, Mark over there, Sarah here, David here, different people. How does life get so separated? Millions of different people in the world, all with different ideas, all doing this, that, different politics, different ideas of how to sort out the world. Separation is always a feature of life today. There's separation, and here is one. How many skies are there outside? There's only one sky, isn't there? How many airs are there? There's only one air. How many silences are there? Or is silence undivided? And yet the moment you start speaking, it all gets divided, doesn't it? This and that. Different people, different ideas. Well, basically the ego is what separates us. You see, if you think of a child, a newborn child, hasn't really got an ego. And almost immediately the child says, "Oh, Mummy, Daddy, John." The child begins to differentiate, build up ideas of separation. Do you want? No, I want that. This is mine. And so the prison begins to build around. This is the ego. That's the ego. It's separate existence, dear, which actually is a fabrication of the mind.
The ego gets a bad reputation, though, really, doesn't
because
it?
It separates us with understandably, because the ego is the cause of our problems. Our problem arises because we're separate. In the sky, there's no problem, is there? When you go there, there's no problem. What happens to them? The answer to every problem is that in reality there's no problem. But you come back into this, oh, the world's full of problems. And the biggest problem of all is that I'm going to die. But here, is there death up there? Does the sky die? Does silence die? Does spirit die? Now this, everything that dies is really, you can say, crystallized ego. Corruption.
So then we leave the ego behind.
Unless you are so attached to it that you carry it along with you.
Could be tricky.
Could be tricky.
You talk a lot, one of your central themes is spiritual unfoldment. Can you explain how that kind of manifests itself in ordinary life?
How could I sit and talk like this to you, my dear, unless I'd had years of experience of this? It wouldn't be real, would it? How have I got the confidence to look you in the eye and refer to this? Through years and years of experience. And talk about separate existence. Says this. It literally is like unfoldment. And I can tell you now, at the end of my life, there's a very apt illustration of this in a cocoon. You know what a cocoon is? There's a caterpillar that spends its life eating your cabbages. And then it happens, it sort of goes to sleep and gets wrapped up in a cocoon, and then what happens? Along comes the sun, and out comes a butterfly. Now this is exactly the unfoldment of spiritual unfoldment. And here I am, look, my body is dying out. That's obvious. I'm losing my strength, my energy. My mind is getting distinctly wobbly and forgetful. But you see, this bit has never been more alive. It's absolutely flourishing, isn't it? because you enter into what you can even begin to dare to call the glory of the butterfly.
So you've achieved this metamorphosis. Some people might struggle. What would you say are the main hurdles to achieving what you have?
Determination. And I can only speak from my own experience, Steve. It varies to everybody. But I think since a young, well, I know since a very young man with my sister's school friends, I've longed for love. Love, love, love that never says no.
Love comes in various packages.
I've lived long enough, dear. I've loved countless times. I've been disappointed, usually unrequited love. And I think in that real sense of total difficult to find the right words, total fulfillment.
And contentment.
Words. More than contentment, dear. I think love is another of those things that never ends. It's ever expanding, ever greater. As a young man, when I was taught at school, heard about the love of God. What on earth do you mean by that? I didn't understand it at all. What are they talking about? And gradually, I suppose I loved my pet mice and my rabbit when I was a little boy. I remember my tears when their lives came to an end. The lizard. I loved nature. I loved our dog. I loved the fields. I loved the grass. I loved my farm. I loved my sheep. And then in between I've loved all sorts of girls. But somehow love, and then I got involved in the whole world scene. It expanded from beyond my own personal existence into ever more of the whole world. Love got bigger and bigger and bigger. Is there anything anywhere in the whole world now that I do not love? I don't think there is, dear. It just grows. And what is this thing, the love of God? I don't know. Perhaps it's all the love that's ever been loved, whoever has been loved, whoever can be loved. All sort of together, like all the drops of rain come from the ocean. Perhaps it's something like that. I don't know, dear. It's a great mystery, the great adventure. But that has been the motivation. I think it's this longing for love. There you are. That's been the main motivation in my life, and still is. And the whole understanding of love has greatly expanded from I love you. And the end of love is to capture you and put a ring on your finger and shut you up in a little house called mine, my family, to what I'm sort of trying to express now, in which there's nothing in it for me because the separate existence has just melted away into this infinite.
Which kind of, infinite. In a way, brings us back to the ego in a way.
Well, you just forget about it, dear.
Yeah.
Once life gets bigger, you just forget about it. It just dies out naturally. All our attempts to hasten the protest are very questionable. You often just go out of the frying pan into the fire. But thank God, the wonderful natural process of life is that we grow up, out. Where's your childhood? Where's our childhood? Where is it, dear? Where is our school? Where are our school days? Our first loves? Where are you still young and strong? Look at me, shriveled away now. Where's all that gone?
And in a way, is this kind of enlightenment come with your life experience and your age? Is that, would you say?
Well, enlightenment, wouldn't. Again, it's not one of the words I normally use, but yes, it is a fact that actually, as the more you let go, the more you leave behind, because this is where the weight is. That's why you put it on a chair. Where there is no weight, is there? It's light. This is the darkness. The ego is dark because it puts up a barrier, you see. It builds a wall between me and you, and this is dark. Look, if I hold up my hands before the light, this is me, and that's what the ego is. It's me, I, me and mine. You see, this is shadow, therefore the world is dark. And in this world, the blind lead the blind. This is the nature of this world, ignorance. The people don't know because they're not in the light. The light you see. In this world we don't see, so we have to go to school and be educated and have different ideas about things because we live in a world of darkness. It's all described in the Bible. It's very clear in the Bible. Good book. I'm very glad I was taught well at school, scriptures.
Do you think the Bible is like a handbook for a moral code as well, do you think? Aside from the religious elements.
It's more than a moral code, Steve. I don't think if I was to list what the Bible is, I don't think I'd even mention moral code. It's far more than that, dear. The Bible is it's a collection of human experience, but you could pick out almost anything from the Bible. At first, as a child, I loved it because it talked about animals. It talked about the things I loved, about the trees and the fields and the sheep. I think more of the words of Jesus now about the kingdom of God. Seek first the kingdom of God. What is that? What is the kingdom of God? What is it? God knows. But anyway, without being able to know, I believe it seems to be in this direction. It's this more than this, isn't it?
And when you mention not knowing, it brings me on to something else that I know you've spoken about in other discussions, is consciousness and the universe. And I know that you've suggested that we're asking questions that pointless questions. Do you think they're pointless questions about the infiniteness of space and what is consciousness?
Well, I've got to be very careful with what I say, Steve, because this presumably people are going to watch this video, and people these days consciousness has become a very much in word, hasn't it? A sort of fashionable new age almost word. Like the ego, I remember hearing of consciousness, and it took me many, many years before I could figure out what they were talking about. What on earth is it? And eventually I figured out that it's really just a complicated way of referring to what couldn't be more obvious, which is just the silence. It's just this. It's just this in which we live and move and have our being. It's just this. This that is not this. It's beyond limit. It's just beyond the seen and the heard. It's the unseen and the unheard, but no less real. It's the air that fills the balloon. It's life. It's just life force. It's it's the fertility that enlivens the earth.
So is it everywhere?
Everywhere, yes, like silence is everywhere. It's the same thing, dear. If you take this sequence, silence, stillness, space, freedom, presence. You see, you're putting it into practice. You're listening. You're beautifully still now. You're looking at me attentively within this, what I'm talking about. Well, just don't call it consciousness, call it spirit, if you like. It's a much more comfortable word. That's what people have used for countless generations, a spirit. Why you call this modern word consciousness? Forget about it. I don't like the word. I hardly ever use it.
It's a fad.
Just a fad. It's just a modern fad, yeah. And anyway, what are we told again? The Bible has many references to our approach to God. And it's very interesting. There's a thing called the Ten Commandments, which lay down, if you like, the moral code. And the first commandment of all was, thou shalt not know God. What is it? You know it yourself, I'm sure. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God. We're not told to know it. If you try to know God, you're just going to get in a mess, because the knowledge of man is foolishness to God. The knowledge of man is the world of duality. It's limited. It's boxed in. If something's a horse, it's not a cow, is it? If it's Steve, it's not John. This is knowledge. Beyond knowledge, you access this, the infinite, the consciousness.
So
the spirit.
we intellectualize too much.
Yes. Well, if you intellect, we just dig our own grave, because we just shut ourselves up in duality. It's too small. You never really engage with the big things in life by intellectualizing about them.
What do you think we're all searching for? Peace, spiritual fulfillment. We talked about contentment. What are we searching for?
Well, ultimately, if you really asked people seriously this question, it's almost impossible to say, dear, because actually what everybody's searching for is this. Beyond words. Whether you call it peace. You see, all these words, let's just call it this. Because it's very obvious that even while I'm talking, this room is full of this. I can look at your faces and you're all with it. You know what I'm talking about. Naturally. Now once you start describing it, a notch downwards, you're beginning to bring it down into duality. Peace, love, freedom. All these are really the same thing. But it's not a thing, it's beyond things, it's no thing. That's what true freedom is.
And we've got to try to stop explaining it.
Well, I'm afraid it's a deeply ingrained habit, dear, and we tend to do it whether we want to do it or not. And we're all so conditioned in this world. And the moment you start talking, you're going to start limiting it and bringing it down. But this is what happens. And then people get, to some degree, discontent or dissatisfied. And so some deeper instinct, which often even isn't expressed, and that's why it's such a relief often after a conversation just to go outside, take a breath of fresh air. Oh, thank God all that talking stopped. Just look at the sky and you immediately feel better instinctively.
So we need to stop talking, we need to stop thinking, which brings us back to meditation.
Thinking is a very difficult one to stop thinking, but we can grow beyond it, you see. You can't stop it any more than you can stop your tummy digesting. The mind goes on digesting, but you can go beyond it.
Well, John, I've got to say it's been wonderful chatting with you. Really is a pleasure. And I enjoy our journeys when we come to collect you at Bakewell and our chats in the car. Just one little thing. I was driving across the estate the other day and you flagged me down and you said, I've just got to tell you, no sticks, my balance has improved. Just your health seems to have just improved very...
I'll tell you what it is, Steve. You see, when I've been talking to you, that once I get the bit in my teeth, I wonder how many people will know that expression. It goes back to when everybody had horses, and when the horse gets the bit in its teeth, it goes off by itself. And you see how I become enlivened, don't I? And Broughton's a wonderful place because I'm able to share. There's so many people here that actually want and encourage me to share what I love. And it's that love outpouring that just makes me forget about anything less.
Well, John, I just want to thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you so much for
Thanks so
giving
much.
me the
Thank you so much.
opportunity.
Thank you.
God bless you,
Thank
dear.
you. Same to you.